You're watching Beyond Market. Welcome. I'm Esther, Awoniyi. Many thanks for joining us. On the show today, we'll explore ways in which Nigeria can decongest its seaports. You can be part of today's conversation by using the hashtag Beyond Market. You can also send your thoughts and your comments to my Twitter handle too. It's at Esther O. Awoniyi. Nigeria's earnings from non-oil exporters fell by 37.8% in the last quarter of 2019. That's according to data from the Central Bank of Nigeria. Now, the CBN also says gross non-oil revenue at 1.03 trillion naira fell below the quarterly budget of 1.34 trillion naira by 22.6%. Now, this fall in non-oil export has been largely attributed to the congestion at the ports. Well, joining me to explore ways in which Nigeria can decongest its ports are Akin Laoye, he's Executive Director of FTN Cocoa Processors, and Bamidele Ayemibo, former Export Group Chairman at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the LCCI. Thank you, gentlemen. Good morning. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today. I was just telling you earlier that a conversation about Nigeria's ports, seaports, is always a difficult one because we have so many moving parts. There's always, the conversation is always centered around the inefficiencies that we continue to see at the port, the challenges. We've seen some positives, obviously, especially on the road access routes to the ports and what some private companies are doing, using concrete and all of that, to prolong the lifespan of the road. Those are positives, but we're still seeing a lot of challenges continuing to persist. Now, recently, in January, to be precise, the Nigerian Port Authority did mention, give an order that ships that berth in Lagos, if they spend like 4 days in the pilotage terminal, I believe that's the term, if they spend more than 4 days there, they would have to move to the eastern ports. Now, that has thrown up a lot of mixed reactions. Akin, let me start with you. What are your thoughts on this development?
Well, if you consider the fact that there have been no way around it for some time now, one would think that that's in the right direction to go. But I think there's a problem here. The Nigerian Ports Authority need to figure out what exactly the issues are. These ports were concession to private guys. We need to find out, are they capable? Are they investing enough? Because it doesn't make sense to get your goods to Port Harcourt, for example, and then you now want to ship it to Lagos by the road with the insecurity, the cost on the shipper. So these are the issues which we have to really look at there, and it in fact increases inflation and makes cost of doing business extremely high. It's not good for us at all. I think government can be much more proactive to make sure that this problem is resolved. And I think they should check what the guys who are managing the ports are doing. AP, MT, and all those other guys in Tinkanch, they should look at their facility. They should see that they are doing the right investment to make sure that the port is decongested. Because we heard from people who are helping us, our forwarding agents, that some of these ships bat for about 30 days in the IC, meaning that these guys don't have enough, maybe equipment, cranes, reach stackers to be able to get all the goods out of the port, out of the ship.
Let me quickly bring you in here. You heard me read out the statistics from the CBN for the last quarter of 2019. Export earnings down 37.8%. Part of that, agricultural products earnings from agricultural products fell over 27%. Now, obviously, there are implications, but I also wanted to quickly know this: if the closure of the border, because what we hear is that because some of the land borders have been closed, many people who export through the border have been forced to come through the front door in court. Is that part of what's adding to the problem on the ground?
No, the problem has always been there before border closure, so it wouldn't be right for us to say that's actually what's causing the challenges we're having at the port. To the extent that about 10-12% of export from Nigeria is going into Central Africa, West Africa, we can say it's contributing one way or the other. But that's not really the challenge. We've always had a challenge with us. And I think we just fail to address it because it seems as if it's becoming a cash cow for some people. And so if we don't begin to deal with it decisively, it becomes an issue. And considering the fact that oil price is being affected right now because of coronavirus, the need for us to generate more effort is becoming highly imperative. So if there is any time for us to take a drastic action, I think it is now. And like you said, that it's very important that we consider that the people that have been given this port to handle, to manage, do they have the right facility? Who is supervising their work? Are they doing what they're supposed to do in the real sense of the word? If the government was inefficient before and we give it to private organizations to manage and we're still having the same issue, should we still leave it with them? Or we should change it to some other people? I don't know what the government agree with them, but we are not generating the result we expect as a result of concession to them. So should we leave it to them?
Okay, let me ask you this. Is it obvious to the MPA, the Nigerian Port Authority, that these private players who have been tasked to run the port are deficient when it comes to the right infrastructure and equipment? Is this common knowledge? Is this something that is glaring? You walk into the ports and you see that this is actually the situation.
I think they should know. Because complaints are coming from forwarding agents about this problem. That look, these ports, I mean these facilities, the terminals, are not able to quickly offload the ship. So the question is MPA doing its job, its oversight function over those terminals to ensure that things are done well as a regulatory authority? There are basic things that they need to check that is in place. We don't need, it's not rocket science. We don't need anybody to let them know that. In fact, this thing should not come to the knowledge of those of us who are users of the port.
Yeah.
That's the honest truth. But something tells me that the NPA is either they decided to look the other way, or they are inefficient.
No, but the NPA did say when it put out that statement, that directive, that it's doing this to promote the ease of doing business policy of the federal government. And to add to that, the clearing agents themselves have said that it's a welcome development for them. But the shippers, of course, obviously disagree, because there's obviously the issue of who bears the extra costs.
Yes, the cost is there. The truth is that I'm saying here that the NPA's approach is escapist. Let them be sure that the ports are doing the right thing. APMT, in Tinker Island, let's make sure that everything is right. Then we'll know how to solve the problem. But when you just come and say, oh, there's a problem here, without investigating, without going through the process, and you now say people should now begin to ship their goods.
Was there consultation where the shippers consulted?
Before this action, I don't think so.
Or the NPA can unilaterally take,
take
that decision?
NPA is the regulatory authority, so they could take that decision. What we are saying is that we believe that they should look inwards. They should look deep into what is going on in those terminals.
Bamidele, care to weigh in on this? I'm just wondering, because there have been mixed reactions, mixed opinion. On the one hand, the clearing agents are happy about it, and on the other hand, the shippers are not. And of course, it's also throwing up bigger questions like the eastern seaports that the NPA has suggested for ships that spend more than 4 days in the Lagos terminals here. Issues around the security, piracy, and of course the shallowness of the waters there in the eastern ports. How big a problem is that for shippers?
Now, in a way, it's solving the problem more like palliative measures, in the sense that, okay, if I'm going to stay longer in Lagos, then berthing there will be faster for me. But at the end of the day, it's like in trying to solve a problem, you are creating another one. You are creating a problem now for those who have goods and offices or factories in Lagos, in Southwest, who want the good to be offloaded in Lagos for them to be able to move. They now have to spend more money to be able to get it from there. The port in the eastern part of Nigeria must work, but people can then decide, I want my good to berth in Lagos, I want my good to berth in the eastern port, so that it will be like those in the eastern port, those are in the eastern part of Nigeria, we want their good to berth in eastern port, that's good for them. Those in Lagos, they're good to berth Lagos, that's good for them. Because there's a delay, it's a sign that there's a problem. To me, it's appearing that the government agencies are supposed to tackle this problem is becoming handicapped. This is the work you're supposed to do. You're not able to do it, and the solution you're providing is increasing the cost of people that are using the port. So it's really not solving the problem in the real sense of the word, because we are creating problem for some other people. Of course, the argument is that, okay, look, instead of waiting for long, why don't we just get them to go to the port? So I think that they need to come down hard on whoever it is that's supposed to do whatever it is they have to do at the port, especially as it has to do with infrastructure. I know there's a big challenge in Nigeria in terms of corruption, and it looks like they are looking away, really. Because it's like, this is what you're supposed to do. The problem is not being fixed, and then you're like looking for alternative way out. So that means that you are happy with Nigerian, the major importer, and to think of, sometimes when I look at this issue, it's like we are strangulating the goods, laying the golden egg. The custom boss just said it's increasing what target they were given from 1.3 to 1.5 billion. You want to generate so much money from the port. The same port that is making the money is not efficient. It just sounds like you're doing a business, this is the major source of your earning, and then you're not making it more efficient so that you can make more money from it. So that the reason why people even go to neighboring countries sometimes is because of inefficiency. Maybe to be an attraction for people to even want to come to port,
sure,
so that you can generate more money. So if you want to make more money from the port, why don't you even vote a particular part of that money If the people you have given are not, and maybe the agreement you had with them will not allow you to sack them, so use the money and fix it for your people because you're making so much money from it.
So obviously infrastructure upgrade obviously is an issue.
Yes.
But because on the surface, looking at it on the surface, it doesn't, you've said that it's sort of like an escapist or a simplified approach to a complex problem. Yes, but it would may not look like that on the surface of it because it's all in line with the ease of doing business of the federal government. If there's congestion and we have an alternative port, of course, why not go there? But of course, that we then have to begin to look at other issues like piracy. Okay, fine. Is it widespread? Is it rampant? How much security is the government providing? These shippers, if there's... Do they have good insurance premiums to cover the risk, etc.? Those are questions that also come up. But what is your perspective?
Yes, because you see, in all these things, we need to consider the guys who are doing the business. If you are talking of ease of doing business, for who?
Well, it's for every business.
Great.
Every
now,
business.
then you have to, is it easy the way we are going about it now? It's even complicating matters. I have situations where, like last year, we're supposed to pull some turnover. We got our goods frozen at the port for about 4 months. Added together between October and January for another 3 months. That's 7 months. That means the turnover is reduced. Another thing, it sends a wrong signal to the guys who are patronizing us, especially those of us who are exporters. They're talking about the export business shrinking. It will shrink the way we're going. Because most of them feel that it is not wise, it is not expedient to get goods from Nigeria, to book contracts from Nigeria. They focus on Ghana, they focus on Cote d'Ivoire. Look, these are things that people must consider the old structure. If you say ease of doing business, is the government the exporter? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. They need to feel our pulse and see if this thing is not profitable, there's no point why I should do the business. It doesn't make sense. I want to ship from my factory to Lagos. Somebody tells me I need a badge. They carry the truck on a badge and then move it to the terminal. I mean, this is extra additional cost. The question is it profitable? If it is not profitable, there's no way the business will not shrink. In a case where I have contracts I'm not able to pull through, what happens is that the guys who are supposed to buy from me, in the next round, they will not want to do business with me because they feel that these guys cannot deliver. We have a bad press out there. We have a bad image about our country out there, and something needs to be done. Somebody must be jealous about this. And I think NPA has that responsibility. They need to unbundle that gridlock. They need to find out what exactly is going on at the port. And we are saying here, we feel corruption. We feel that the guys who it has been concession to are not ready to do enough investment. Let them go and do an audit of their infrastructure.
Still with me in the studio, Akin Laoye, he's Executive Director of FTN Cocoa Processors, and Bamidele Ayemibo, former Export Group Chairman at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Gentlemen, thank you for your time so far. Let's talk about the way forward. I guess it's already apparent that there are still inefficiencies at the ports. Excuse me, infrastructure is still a problem, but thankfully there is a regulator. Obviously there are questions around the efficiency and the strength of the oversight, on the part of the regulator itself. But as a player, in the industry yourself, Akin, talk to me, what's the level of engagement that shippers, businesses have with the regulator in the first place? To what extent do you present these problems that you have? And what is the usual reaction? What is the body language? Because the thing is, there is a problem, but there must be a solution. And we have to find that solution fast because this congestion cannot continue.
Yes. Well, in the past, there has never been any kind of formal engagement between the port authority and those of us who use the port. Why? Because we have forwarding agents, clearing agents who interact with the shipping company and then to these guys. But now that there's a problem, then there's a need for that kind of conversation. Maybe our conversation would help them to know. What I expect the regulatory authority to do is to kind of engage with stakeholders and say, hey, what's going on? What's your pulse? What's your feel? How is this thing causing problems for you? To assist them in doing their own management, their regulatory roles as NPA. That's what I think. It can come from them because, to be honest, they are like CBN. As far as we are concerned, they are like a big monument, big authority that, who are we to just go? We don't even have direct line of communication with them. So the question is, they should be concerned. For example, when the reports came that the export is shrinking, the non-oil export is shrinking, they should be concerned. What's going on here? To be honest, we could get more money. NPA could make more money as a result of larger volumes. So why are they not concerned about that? That's the issue.
But let me bring you in here. I mean, in answering Mr. Akin's question about, the drop in exports and the solution to that, it would appear that the NPA thinks that diverting ships to the eastern ports could, of course, fasten or shorten the turnaround time. But what we're also hearing is that some shippers themselves do not play by the rules. That's what we've also heard. But on the part of the LCCI, I know you're the former chairman, but on the part of the LCCI, what do your members tell you? What kind of solutions, based on the data that you collect and information that you have, how does that inform how you approach these problems? Do you communicate or engage with the NPA?
There have been some engagement, actually. There's Nigerian Shippers Council that tend to invite importers, exporters sometimes, but most of the time clearing agent, actually, to be able to engage. But they are also supposed to be a regulator in a way. They are supposed to be people you can liaise with when you have challenges. But, there are challenges I have that is peculiar to me that I can come and tell you. But there are some that all of us can say it. So we're all seeing it. And they've had different stakeholder programs in Apapa a couple of times. And people have made suggestions on what they think should be done. But what we've realized is that those suggestions are made, but nothing really is done. That's why I said the other time that I suspect the corruption issue, which is a prevalent issue in Nigeria, is the one making it very difficult. So that's why I feel the government, the presidency, should come in. The CBN might not be able to do much because, they are not the one regulating that place. But at least the Ministry of Transport, MPA, presidency should see the need. If we choose to be like Adesica before, I think it's time now for us to take it more serious.
If I could just quickly comment here, if the Shippers Council, if they have meetings or engagement with the NPA and make suggestions, and you say nothing really comes, and other agencies or ministries, and they make suggestions and nothing comes out of it, how about a follow-up, a dedicated follow-up to ensure that, because the thing is, when those suggestions are not, when there's none of it comes to fruition, it's like a vicious circle. We'll come back to point A again. And what's the point? So how about
follow up on it?
Following up strongly on it.
With the way each things are, I'm not sure there are no follow-up. I think there are not just political will to do what is right. Because the problem is obvious to all of us. From CBN data, from MBS data, from MPA taking decision to move goods to the south, to the eastern port. This is obvious to all of us already. So I'm asking myself, we have a benchmark for oil. The oil price is dropping. We need alternative source of forex. The foreign reserve is... So there are so many indices showing that we must take drastic action. So I believe there is follow-up from the Nigerian Shippers Council because of the engagement they've had. But I don't think we need to do that kind of follow-up for the government to take action on something that is affecting its revenue.
Well, speaking about action and drastic action, like I said before, the MPA would consider this movement or directive or diversion to the eastern port as drastic. Yeah. And I know that it did probably also think it through and also probably also thought about the pains and the challenges that will come as a result of that to shippers. Where do we go from here? Because this is where we are now from that directive. If you've stayed more than 4 days, go on to the eastern ports. What happens from here on?
Well, it will unfold new challenges, new problems. Yeah. It's so clear.
Yeah.
Because people are not prepared for that. What I can see clearly, for example, is if those vessels go to the eastern port, for example, I ship from Lagos, from Ibadan. That means I may begin to think twice. If I don't want my production, the items I want to ship to take too much time, to start thinking, okay, maybe I have to go to the east to go and lay the vessel, the container there for it to be forwarded abroad. It does not make sense. Let me tell you what it will do. It will simply discourage the investor. Don't forget, we have so many things we are contending with. The infrastructure gap is still there. The power problem is still there. These are increasing our cost of production. Now you want to complicate matters for me. Is it not better to just close shop? So
this directive was given on the 24th or 27th of January.
Yes.
So how much progress, how much diversion has happened since then? And you, being here, being a living example, bringing products into the country, I'm just wondering, what impact has it had on your business so far?
For now,
have you used that as an option, or
no,
it hasn't come to that yet? Okay.
No, because for us, it doesn't really make sense. We have to figure out the cost properly. So again, for us, we need to consider the cost benefit. Okay, do we wait?
Yeah.
Instead of exposing myself to the risk of shipping...
When you say wait, how?
Wait for the vessel that is scheduled to move from Lagos. When I'm sure that I can take it from Lagos. Let me use ourselves as an example. I ship cocoa butter. To truck cocoa butter from here to Port Harcourt, will take hours. It will melt. If I say I want to go for reefer containers, it's a lot of money. It's almost times 8 of the original cost of shipping with regular containers. It does not make sense. So you see, that's why we need a lot of engagement. Government they have been talking about this non-export, increasing it and everything. They have to know you must not kill the geese that lays the golden egg.
Yeah.
That's the truth. There's no point. Why should they say they're doing things we are not involved? They don't even look at how we are feeling. And then you say you have done a policy to just go to Port Harcourt in 4 days because you have waited. I have to look at my costs very well. If it doesn't make sense, let me close the factory, ask the people at the factory floor to go home. So we need a more proactive government. We need people who are on top of the game. We need to make sure this economy works. It can work. It can work if we put the right people there. It can work if there's a political will, as he said. I see all these things as lack of political will. Because these things are very obvious to everybody. Government should know it. The president should know it. And if they don't know it, the president should ask questions. Why is it that it's in Nigeria that we have situations where inefficiencies now put us into difficult circumstances? I don't want to go to other realms, like this recent situation with the visa from the United States.
Yeah.
It tells you somebody's not doing his job.
Yeah.
Come on, we can't continue like that as a nation.
Bamidele, let me quickly bring you in here. I mean, your own perspective on where we are right now and how implications going forward.
The implication for export is serious. You know, the data shows that 60% of shipments into Nigeria come through Lagos port. So if you divert it there, like you said, because 60% are already shipping through Lagos port, a lot of exporters also position themselves in such a way that they can ship out through Lagos port.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, things change. Can we make that Eastern? Can we make those Eastern ports work?
No, it will be challenging because for someone to have a factory like himself, that means if he's not going to relocate his factory because of distance, you're going to incur a lot of costs getting the good there. So you're increasing costs for those because if the vessel that comes is one that will take it out. So if you divert the import vessel carrying import container to the Eastern port, that means that if I'm exporting, I will truck my good to the Eastern port for that vessel to go out. So, and that will begin to reduce what is coming to Lagos. So I think that why the Eastern port must work and must be made to work so that those in that area can enjoy the service and those in Lagos also can enjoy the service. Like you said, you might need to wait longer so that vessels that are going to bet in Lagos will be the one to. Because like I said, it's like you're trying to solve a problem. You're also creating another. Okay,
so when we say making the Eastern ports work, let's take a deeper dive into that. Yeah. Are we talking from a capacity infrastructure point of view?
Yes, dredging, so that a lot of people...
Because we know right now it's a bit shallow.
Now, one of the reasons
why... MPA, head says, maybe the ships with flat bottoms or something can go and berth in the shallow...
Yes. Now, the
issue is, what number, what volume...
One of the issue with Lagos port is the pressure because of high volume of vessel coming in. So if Eastern port works, that will also ease the challenges in the sense that importer ab initio know that, okay, I have this vessel going to Port Harcourt, I have this vessel going to One. He will have chosen that he wanted to go to One. Right. So that means a number of vessels will go straight to One, straight to Port Harcourt, straight to Warri, straight to all those ports in that area. And those that want Lagos will come to Lagos. So I will choose. So if I choose Lagos, those that want to export will then choose the same vessel that came to Lagos to take it out. Rather than saying the vessel, they are already bound for Lagos, now go to Port Harcourt. That means if I've chosen that vessel to carry my goods out, I need to reroute my goods to Lagos.
How long will it take for that math or the judge?
No, the implication is that I might have to move my goods to Port Harcourt unless the vessel will be coming back to Lagos to take out. But if it's coming back, we're still facing the same problem because it was a delay in the first place. I mean, to go to Port Harcourt. So most likely, it's not like you're going to have to come back to Lagos.
If the MPA, Akin says that, look, these are initial, pains, as a result of the newness of the policy, give it time, things will get better. We would upgrade the Eastern ports, whatever infrastructure upgrade needs to happen, we'll begin to make those investments. Would that be something agreeable with you?
Well, it's agreeable in a way because we are Nigerians. It will ultimately develop the eastern side and everything. But again, it has to do with capital budget, capital expenditure. That means that some businesses may literally relocate to that side. So imagine what it is. For example, if you take up a refinery or a cocoa factory, you put it up with a 10 billion. Question, are you going to raise 10 billion to go and put it near Port Harcourt? These are issues. Again, you see, that's why I said it's important that we should think tradition must be rigor in thinking, the way we do things here, so that we know what people will do. If it's just mere trading, it's easy to say, okay, I'll cost it, I'll change the cost profile, factor the cost I'm incurring for bringing these goods in and taking it through Port Harcourt, and I sell it. maybe I set up warehouses around Port Harcourt so that they can host the goods and I distribute from there, change my logistics orientation. But it cannot be like that for manufacturers. It's not easy. You know, so those are the things that we have to really look at. If we really want to grow, we need to sit down together and find out how we can do all these things. Not just taking decision in your office and then say in 4 days, the good does not stay, then you can just go to Port Harcourt. Come on.
Gentlemen, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much. It's been a robust conversation, and hopefully it will get better and we'll begin to see that much needed of efficiency at the ports. Thank you for your time today. I've been speaking to Akin Laoye. He's Executive Director of FTN Cocoa Processors, and Bamidele Ayemibo, former Export Group Chairman at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We've been talking about how Nigeria can decongest and make its ports more efficient. Well, that's it on Beyond Markets. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Remember, you can watch all previous episodes of the show on our website. That's cnbcafrica.com. You can also stay engaged with the hashtag Beyond Markets. And of course, you can send your comments and your thoughts to my Twitter handle too. It's at Esther Awoniyi. For myself and the team, it's bye for now.